Hey, Max here. Let's talk about James Gunn and the restore. No, sorry. I'm mixing up my hashtags. I apologize. Oh, Kelly, what did you do just when I'm ready to film? All right. Let's talk about the sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix campaign. How I actually support it, but the biggest obstacle it's going to face, and something that I think a lot of people have missed. I think in a way, James Gunn is telling you he's not going to let it happen. And some people might think that he's not the final person to say, but I also think he's telling you he is. Let's talk about it.
Warning, this video contains rumors, speculation, strong opinions,
Now, I am a James Gunn fan. I'm really excited about I have to preface that because even Isaac, I'm looking at you, Isaac, called me a James Gunn hater. I'm not a gun hater, but I'm not a gunhead either, like some of you out there are. Um, he doesn't really tell you what's going on. I actually, I'm somewhere in the middle, even though everyone on both sides yells at me. Max, you love scoopers. You believe everything. No, I don't believe everything they say. I think they get things wrong. I think it's probably because, especially if you're talking about property like Warner Brothers that's changed directions within the same goddamn week, that things change. And I think that also James Gunn, for some reason, really does not like the part of the industry that reports on scoops and rumors in the trades. For some reason, he likes the debunk, which he really doesn't. This whole meeting, for one thing, this whole meeting proves, to me at least, in my subjective opinion, that they were potentially going to try to have Matt Reeves bring in Pattinson. But he's like, debunked, it's not going to happen. Why? Because ultimately Matt Reeves said, look at my contract, and we're not doing that. So this recent meeting with Matt Reeves, and I'm looking and I've been reading the articles, doing my research. I know it's 2023. Time to go hardcore with this speculation. But what he's revealing in there is that the meeting even has to take place to make sure that what Matt Reeves is doing with Batman doesn't interfere with James Gunn version of Batman and the DC studios going forward. And there's a lot that you could get from this article, including something that's, I also have to preface this. I am not against the sell Zack Snyder Justice League to Netflix. If that happens, I would love it. And I also want to tell everyone that it's not impossible either. It's just really, really going to be difficult to make it happen, especially with this. I also believe when we got the rumors, or we got the details about Henry Cavill, the announcement on Instagram, and then a few days later when they announced Gunn, a lot of sources have said that when Gunn was brought on and was officially Gunn is now in charge, that stuff wasn't going to happen. And I think in my opinion, knowing James Gunn and not a hater of him, that he is very particular. It's his way, it's his vision. If it doesn't fit, it's not gonna go forward. And I don't think he would have come on unless he could do a clean slate. Or according to him, according to his roles, which might have some of his characters he's worked on moving forward. And I believe he'll try to explain why that makes sense, and it's going to cause him an issue. And I think everyone knows it's coming. Even you gunheads out there, you kind of all know that he's going to try to keep certain characters. But more on that later. Here's the important part of this. So this is the article from Deadline. And this is all right. Reeves also had an HBO Max spinoff series that's expected to go into production this year. The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell. I had this dream for the way I wanted to play out, for that to play out, and that's what I'm going to be talking about for in a few weeks. They're going to be talking to me about what they're doing in their 10-year plan, or certainly what's in the near future as well, so that we can understand that it's air traffic control. We don't want to be crashing into each other. I think that also, now this is Matt Reeves talking, but I also think you can kind of get the vibe that James Gunn is throwing down after his meeting with Reeves, that we want to make sure if you are doing a separate verse, because they already said they weren't. They're not going to have multiple Batman, but they are. They already went back on what they said because Batman's profitable, okay? But they also said you get from his meeting and his talks with James Gunn that we don't want to be crashing into each other. I'm going to level with you Snyder fans that want this Zack Snyder Justice League on Netflix. If it were to happen, can you honestly say that the storyline that Zack was going to do, an epic story with Darkseid, would not interfere with storylines that they want to do with characters that they want to do, even though they're not the same version? I honestly, even though I want this to happen more than anything in entertainment, more than anything, I cannot honestly say, if it got the go-ahead and everything, that James Gunn wouldn't stop this, because he doesn't want it to be interfering even the slightest of his vision, even though it's over on the other side. We want to support each other. I'm super excited. I'm really excited to hear about what they're doing and to be working with them. It's going to be cool, Reeves said. And then this is the other thing that's very important from this article, and I'll make it bigger. Known in the DC world as the Elseworld strategy, this universe allows writers to create stories set in different timelines. And this might have the sellzsjltonetflix to Netflix fans and supporters say, see, it's possible. But here is in different timelines. Now that shows that it's possible, okay? But this is where I think that Gunn is setting the stage with his interactions with Reeves to say, as long as they don't clash with the main canon narrative, even though I guess you can consider Zack Snyder's Justice League an Elseworld story, it's going to at least seem like, especially to the general public that doesn't know, not deep into comic lore and understand Elseworlds, it's going to be very confusing for the general public. These aren't just comic book readers. When you do movies, it's not just comic book readers that they could potentially clash with the main DC canon that they're trying to set up. Even though defenders of this movement might say, well, it's over there, it's to the side. Brand confusion is how we got here, and lack of leadership and management decisions was all over the place in an absolute shit show, okay? But these two things in this Deadline article, where we said we don't want to be crashing into each other and we don't want to clash with the main canon narrative. And this is from Matt Reeves. I don't know if the meeting already took place, but he's planning to. He's probably had some talks with Gunn already. That makes me think that, based on his conversations with James Gunn, that Gunn is going to gun this down if it comes up to him. And some of you may say, well, Zaslav's going to make the decisions, not Gunn. Well, then why is Matt Reeves meeting with Gunn then? I think Zaslav has checked out. He's like, do what you want to do. You got to check with Gunn now. That's my opinion. I know there's a lot going to be there to say. It's not up to him. It's up to Zaslav. Guess what? Gunn went to Zaslav and stopped Henry Cavill from moving forward, even though other people were working at DC. So Zaslav might double down on this decision, and I'm just preparing you when it comes, if it gets enough traction and it gets to this man, even though I'm a fan of this man. Wait, James Gunn. I do know that creatives have huge egos, and the way they could create these fantastic world stories and narratives is they think it's their way or nothing else, including Zack Snyder. They don't work well with others. They are appreciative of other creatives, but when it's their shot, it's their way or the highway. And this potential clashing, and is even potentially seeming like it could clash with the main narrative and story that he wants to tell. No bueno with James Gunn. I'm just telling you, I'm just preparing you. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And no one has tweeted him, and I'm not asking anyone to either, because I don't want people's hopes to get crushed and then James Gunn to be trending for the wrong things again. But if he says not going to happen, if someone asks him, what do you think about the sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix campaign? And he's like, nah. If he shoots that down, it's a day I don't want to hear. I don't want to even think about it, because it's going to be absolute chaos, and it's going to throw negative spin all over everything. And as long as people stay positive in their promoting Zack Snyder's Justice League going to Netflix, I'm okay with it. I really am, because you're asking for something instead of against something. Now, I personally have been against certain things in entertainment in the past. I'm beyond that now. Don't shoot the messenger in this one, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this hot topic. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and there'll be more of these videos to come. See you later.